And I would say the keynote is one of the chapters in the 21 days is something, an expression I heard from you. It's called shadow boxing with ghosts. And so if I can just explain that, it's very simple. Most of the things that I battle that have provided anxiety is, you go through things that are traumatic. And after a while, you, as a self-defense mechanism, you start stepping ahead. And if you're not careful, you start fighting battles that just don't exist. And so, as you pointed out, anxiety is usually about something from the future. I would get something in my mind and I'd go down, I'd try to find a way to fight this battle of something that might happen that almost never happens. And I start fighting it ahead of time. And all of a sudden my anxiety's going. And then all of a sudden I have the real things to be anxious about, the normal problems. And that's how I ended up in this panic attack situation, having no idea what was going on, just completely oblivious because like something bad happens, just keep going. Something good happens, yay, that's great, but just constantly trying to, it's like trying to run this race out in front of this monster behind me. And then all of a sudden I stop and I turn around and I see there's not a monster behind me. There's not one back there. I made it all up in my mind. And that's how the enemy is so tricky and coming at us with the anxiety part. So the shadow boxing with ghosts was just a beautiful depiction of what it's like is I'm fighting against things that don't really exist. And I think that's pretty common. I'm not claiming, again, I'm not a clinician. I'm not claiming anything like that. I'm just saying, hey, this is what I saw when I'm dealing with it. And a lot of other people seem to connect with it. So I do hope it provides hope, but recognition of what's going on, I would say is maybe even 90% of the battle.
I agree. And in my counseling, and me and Wade has discussed this too, the difference between bears and dragons. The bears are the day-to-day things, the flat tire, late for work, you overspent by $200. That's the bears. What do you do with a bear? You either spray it with spray, you make separation, but you got to keep going. But there is dragons in our life. There is the cancer. Half my family was just killed in a car accident. There is these dragons that come with 7 heads and 7 wings, and they just throw down flame and fury on your life and your family. And knowing the difference between these, because someone who is dealing with anxiety, and I'm speaking from experience, not as a clinician, is that you take so much for so long, then hey, a jacket falls off a hanger and you lose your ever loving mind over it. You become unwilling to deal with anything else. So if you find yourself where you're sparking off on anything too fast, it might be because you are fighting a dragon, but it's really a bear. It's really something you just need to hit the spray and get them away from you and deal with it, go around it and keep moving. And it's not something that's going to this is not you getting handcuffs put on your legs and being thrown overboard by some Italian mafia. This is just an everyday occurrence.